I'm watching President Trump the other day. He had a bunch of Republican lawmakers in to talk up the Obamacare replacement bill. And it's usually the kind of situation when the cameras are on, you say, rah, 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 we've got great legislation. He said he had changed some minds in the room, but instead he launched into an attack on fake news. I know it's very shocking. How suddenly the fake media were saying all kinds of nice things about the existing Obamacare law, but this was dead and it was a disaster and all of that. And I thought of that when I read a piece in the Washington Post, the thesis of which was the following: that President Trump talks too much and his top people talk too much. And I don't think that I agree with that, although certainly you can point to instances in which perhaps they have created problems for themselves. Now, the thesis of the piece went into the travel ban, the revised travel ban, temporary ban on immigrants and refugees, particularly from those now 6 countries. And the fact that the latest federal judge to block this, remember this is the second round, was citing comments that the president has made or that he made on the campaign trail to show that it's really not fair and it's really a Muslim ban and all of that. I'm not sure I buy that. I think in both cases, the first round, the second round, the judges that wanted to block this would have found grounds to block it anyway. And that, it's fine to put into their opinion, well, the president said this or that, the other thing, because any piece of legislation, or in this case an executive order, should be judged on the merits of what the language is and whether that passes constitutional muster, not what somebody said on the campaign trail or at a rally. That seems to me to be a stretch to try to come up with a rationale for your judicial action. Now, the case in which you can make a very strong argument that the administration created problems for himself. This is the whole, quote, wiretapping, air quotes, surveillance situation, because this was something that on a Saturday morning, Donald Trump is firing off a series of tweets accusing Barack Obama of having ordered this. And now Sean Spicer had a very testy briefing last week in which he said the media were ignoring half of the story, that it being that the intelligence committees haven't found any evidence of any collusion between Trump associates or campaign people and Russia. That is true. But it is also true that the intelligence committees and the FBI and others who have looked at this haven't found any evidence to support the president's assertion, and it has become a very big story. And you have got all kinds of anchors and pundits going off on him. Anderson Cooper on CNN saying, we learned tonight the president doesn't have any facts. And CNN's Jake Tapper saying that Sean Spicer was trying to argue that the earth is flat. I talked to Spicer about this in my interview with him at the White House. So there are times when they talk themselves into trouble, but here's the bottom line. This is a very different kind of president, and the fact that he and some of his top aides, but principally Donald Trump, talks all the time, tweets all the time, speaks in a kind of a street language or a way that connects with ordinary voters, doesn't always parse the syllables in a way that creates problems for him when the fact checkers come along. That's basically how he got elected. And that is how he is choosing to govern. Now, do I think the president ought to be more selective in his tweeting, watch his words a little more carefully? Yes, of course. But you sort of have to take the whole package. And the fact that Trump and his people sometimes talk themselves into trouble is more than balanced, I think, by the fact that he is his own best salesman. He is good at selling his programs. He's got a lot to sell right now with a lot of legislation, executive orders, and other things, all waiting action here in Washington. But I think to say just that, essentially the guy's got a big mouth, fine. I don't think Donald Trump would deny that. But there's a lot of pluses to that, along with the inevitable minuses.